let's go all the way out to San Antonio. And talk about intensity. This guy's he's tenacious.
Good. He is good.
All right, he brings it every time. We had Dick Weiss on talking about tenacity. The St. Peter's team is tenacious with their defense, and so are the Villanova Wildcats. So let's go to the Maserati of the Mainline Sports Hotline and welcome in the radio voice of the Villanova Wildcats all the way from San Antonio, Ryan Fannon. Good morning, Ryan.
Ryan, good morning.
Great to be with you guys. And I'm sitting here in my hotel room.
The Riverwalk.
Oh, it's amazing. The best Final Four town in the country. I agree with Jim Nance when he says that. And this time it's a Sweet 16 Elite 8 town, but it's just as sweet. I've got the Philadelphia Daily News here from 4 years ago.
So does Billy.
Where it says Dante's Inferno.
Yes.
Red hot DiVincenzo puts up 31 points, most off the bench in finals history. Great memories of winning the title here 4 years ago. But today, trying to get to a Final Four. Let's go.
And how ironic is it that you guys beat Michigan at the place where you won the national championship 4 years ago, whatever it was?
It was incredible. I mean, you think about, like, Villanova has had some incredible games against Michigan over the year. I mean, Villanova and fans from many years ago will remember back in 1985 on Villanova's run to the national championship. They took out Michigan, the 1 seed, in the second round in Dayton on the way to the title game against Georgetown on April 1st, 1985. So some great history with Michigan in the tournament, but got the Wolverines again, and it was just so impressive to see Villanova in a game on Thursday night where they just do not shoot the ball well. It was an ugly game at times, but Villanova found a way, and it reminded me a little bit of Villanova's win over Boston College in Minneapolis back in 2006 when Villanova couldn't throw it in the ocean from the beach, but found a way to win it by crashing the glass, tough defense, and took care of the ball in a big-time way on Thursday night. Just a great win for Villanova to move on, even though it wasn't pretty, but at this time of the year, it doesn't matter. It's all about finding a way to win, and this team, after losing by 21 at Baylor and 20 to Creighton back in December, they've won an incredible run. Think about this, guys. They were 7-4 when Villanova left Omaha, and they've gone 22-3 their last 25 games, and they're going for their 30th win tonight and a trip to the Final Four on the line. What a job by Jay Wright to bring this team where they were in December to now on the cusp of his 4th Final Four as a Villanova head coach if he can get the W against a tremendous Houston Cougars team.
And, during the week we saw Jay Wright being interviewed on TV talking about the 3 captains, how important their leadership is to advancing and the play of the Villanova Wildcats.
It's been incredible. And when you think about Colin Gillespie, I mean, no tournament in 2020. 2021, he has the major knee injury March 3rd, 2021 against Creighton, can't play in the NCAA tournament. And now he comes back and says, you know what? I'm not going out that way. I'm going to come back. I love Villanova. And here he is. His dagger shots at the end of games now, the legend is growing, and it really began with that win at Providence that Villanova had back on February 15th when he hit that huge 3 late in that game. And at the end of the game, I mean, he just totally wants the ball, and he'll just create a shot for himself, which just shows how much he's grown as a player. I mean, he can go get a shot now. He's become a pro prospect for sure now. And Jermaine Samuels, he's the X factor, because I've said all along, Whitey Rigsby and I have talked about this a lot on the radio. The consistency of Samuels in terms of a defender, unselfish, teammate, leader, it's always been there. But the one thing that hasn't been consistent is his offensive confidence. It comes and goes, and it's so evident whether he has it or he doesn't. And I knew coming down the stretch that if he could get his offensive confidence, the upside of this team goes to a whole new level, and Samuels has been a monster, and he's averaging 18 points and 8 rebounds in this NCAA tournament. And if he plays really well tonight and Villanova wins, he could just as easily be the regional most outstanding player as much as it could be Gillespie.
We're talking to the radio voice of the Villanova Wildcats, Ryan Fannon, who's in San Antonio for tonight's 6:09 tip-off against Houston. And it looks like, looking at statistics, the Wildcats on the free throw line, shooting foul shots down a stretch. I mean, they were 83.3%. Michigan was only 50%. So, you look at some areas where you see them separated, and it's like the free throws.
It's a great point, Billy, because, in a game like this where it could come down to, who knows, this tournament's crazy. Not to sidetrack, but look who's left now. You got a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 2 seed, a 4 seed, a 5 seed, an 8 seed, a 10 seed, and a 15 seed. There's your 8 teams remaining. And these games are so close. They're so competitive. The parity this year is phenomenal. The 3-1 seeds are already gone. So if it comes down to free throws, Houston is shooting 66.7% only, just under 67%, 66.7 to be exact. Villanova, all they're doing is tracking to be the best free throw shooting team in the history of college basketball. Think about this for a minute.
Yeah.
The Harvard team in 83-84 shot 82.2% from the line for the year. That's the greatest ever. Villanova going into tonight's game is at 82.6.
Wow.
Almost a 0.5% higher. So whenever Villanova's season ends, and I hope it ends on Monday, April 4th in New Orleans with a championship, but this team right now is positioned to probably be the best free throw shooting team ever in the history of college basketball.
So what you're saying is Jay works a lot of free throws in practice. He must shoot a heck of a lot of free throws.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And also one thing about Villanova, like you alluded to earlier, Ryan, they have the uncanny ability to knock down that three when they need it the most. You saw Gillespie dish it out to, I guess it was Jermaine for that three in the second half. That was a big three.
Yeah, they clutched three throws.
Yeah.
Look at the stats. Villanova wins an NCAA tournament game by 8 points, and they shoot 37% from the floor. But you got to flip the script and say, well, what did they do defensively? Michigan shot 34% for the game, 33% from three. And to go back to our free throw point, what do the Wildcats do? They go 10 of 12 at the line, 83%. Michigan goes 7 of 14, just 50%. Tell me free throws
that was
don't
Dixon.
matter.
I was thinking, I'm sorry, that was Dixon that hit that three-pointer when Gillespie dished it out and he hit that. That was a dagger.
You're talking about in the Ohio State game in the second round?
Yeah, that was a big.
That was the dagger.
That was a dagger.
Yep. Huge.
I just think that
many weapons. So many weapons. And when you have Dixon making threes, and then we said Samuels, who's now his offensive confidence is so high, Villanova can just spread the floor and they can drive. And we know how Villanova posts up their guards. It's become a huge part of Villanova's offense. But this team right now, people talk about Houston, and I'm sure we will in a minute, but Villanova's won 13 out of 14 since leaving Milwaukee with the loss to Marquette back on February 2nd. Villanova's as hot as anybody in the country right now.
All right, now there's the big elephant in the room. Before we get to the Houston Cougars, I'm sure the Wildcats are looking at this David versus Goliath story of St. Peter's. It's national news. It's Cinderella still dancing. Is this amazing or what?
Well, I just love the historical part of it. So, when the seeding began, the full seeding, right, when it went to 64 teams in 1985, no time ever had a 15 seed won 2 tournament games until, ironically, coming into Philadelphia and beating Georgetown, Florida Gulf Coast, and then they beat San Diego State in the second round. I believe it was in the 2003 NCAA tournament. And then Florida Gulf Coast gets to the Sweet 16 and they lose to the Florida Gators. Last year, we saw another team that's a 15 seed go to the Sweet 16 in Oral Roberts, and then they lose. But never has a 15 seed gone to an Elite Eight, and it happened last night. And the confidence and the swagger of St. Peter's and the confidence that Shaheen Holloway's got these guys playing with, it's an unbelievable story. And to think that they couldn't keep winning, I mean, it's incredible. And that's why this tournament, you know, you hear things about, well, what's going to happen down the road, you know, with the NCAA and teams breaking apart, and will the NCAA tournament as we know it still be the way it is in future years with all the different money factors and all that? And all I have to say is, at that moment, if they ever think about the Big Five, the Power Five, conferences breaking off or whatever happens, and I pray this never happens because this is the greatest sporting event in the world. But if it ever does, somebody's just got to put up a big old clip and say, you're telling me you're going to not have the mid-majors and the small conferences be part of this? What about St. Peter's in 2022? And tell you, it's great material to make sure that they never mess with this national jewel.
All right, we got about a minute and a half left. The Villanova Wildcats are 2.5-point underdogs. What's going on,
That's
Ryan?
interesting.
Oh, I never even talk about that kind of stuff.
No.
I can tell you about this Houston team. I got a chance to see them live because they were in Pittsburgh. What impresses me about them is how well connected they are at both ends. They are a tremendous offensive rebounding team. And defensively, teams only shoot 37% against them and 29% from three. So this is a team that, as I'm watching them, I'm just seeing they're an 8-man rotation. They play straight 8. And their 5 starters play the majority of the minutes, but the 3 that come off the bench, Kelvin Sampson, what a journey he's been on as a coach. I mean, you look at the years where he's coached, you know, from this time at Washington State to Oklahoma to Indiana, now to Houston. He went to the Final Four last year. What a great coaching matchup this is. But this is a Houston team. Villanova hasn't played a team yet in this tournament like Houston. I mean, they're for real. They're playing at an incredibly high level. And I think Villanova has got to play their best game that they've played in this great stretch where they've gone 13-1 in the last 14 games. But you know what? Villanova wins big games. And Villanova's 3-1 in Elite 8 games under Jay Wright. They've won 3 straight Elite 8 games in 09, 16, and 18. And this is just shaping up to be an unbelievable game. And to think about the history, Phi Slamma Jamma, 82, 83, 84, 3 straight Final Fours, Villanova winning titles in 16 and 18. This is just a great storyline here tonight and should just be an incredible matchup. And the great thing is that Villanova wins this game. So who's left in this tournament? The excitement's going to go to a whole new level because if Villanova wins this game, they can absolutely go and win a national championship again.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
All right,
Great
Ryan
players.
Fannon.
You're the best.
We can't wait for your call tonight on the radio, but we can't wait to see the Villanova Wildcats play tonight. And thanks for checking in with us. I know you're busy out there, but let's go Cats.
All right, bring on the Cougars. Let's go. Thanks for great being with you guys. Take care,
buddy.
fellas.
There he
Appreciate
is,
it.
Ryan Fannon on the Maserati, the Mainline Sports Hotline.